Hello, welcome. It's another video from Silk Helix and I'm in a completely new studio, so it's a slightly different introduction today because I just wanted to say to those of you that have been here before, welcome to my new studio space. I have moved house, which means my studio has moved and I took the opportunity to do a completely new setup. Today I'm diving into neurodiversity and how, as people managers, we can get the best out of our neurodivergent team members, how we can support them, how we can deliver information, communicate, share with people in a way that is neurodivergent friendly. And the best bit of news I've got for you is that everything in this video today will benefit all of your team members, not just those who are neurodivergent. This is the stuff that will benefit everyone and will get better performance out of all of your team. I have got a new guide on managing, supporting, improving performance in your teams. Hit the link that's on screen now or in the description below to get your free copy of that guide. But right now I'm going to dive right in. Supporting people to do their best, to get the best out of people. We need a really person-centered approach. We need to look to all of our teams, all of our employees as individuals. And this is why I say it benefits everyone. We talk, and you'll have seen other videos I've done where I talk about the benefits of one-to-one meetings. Really, what the benefit of these are is it enables us to really get to know our teams. And there's a whole range of reasons why this can really help us. But when we know our team's individual strengths, we know their individual weaknesses or challenges, I prefer to be the term, and we know their interests, then we can work with that to get the best out of people in a way that contributes to the business goals and what you need as a business. Also helps you to ensure that you've got the right people in your business. So if you've got somebody whose interests just really don't align with what you need them to be doing, that's also something that we need to know. We can't push square pegs in round holes. We need to deal with that for the benefit of both the company and the individuals. But when we know people really well, we can work with that. We can look at how do we harness those strengths? How do we harness those interests? Particularly ADHD, for example, very intrinsic motivation. So they're much more likely to be motivated to do the things that they're interested in. So let's harness that. Let's get the best out of people and look at how we distribute work tasks, how we make things interesting to people. And sometimes that's about making sure people are aware and understand the reasons for something. So why should we be interested in filling that form in? Where's the benefit to that? Sometimes there's some really good questions there in terms of, is there really a benefit to filling that form in, or are we just doing it because we always have? It's also a way of getting to know our teams so that we know what challenges they're facing outside of work. So for example, if we're looking at one-to-ones as a way of really getting to understand who our team are, we might discover those that have got parenting challenges or are looking after an elderly relative and therefore might be more needing of things like parental leave or carers leave. And that might help us plan around those sorts of potential disruptions to the work environment as well and work with people. So it's really beneficial, as I say, to all of your team. This isn't just about your neurodivergent team, but for your neurodivergent team, it will really help them. And by getting to know people, we can achieve a few things. Psychological safety, that's really important. It's often brought to me, this person didn't disclose their disability. We weren't made aware, so we couldn't make decisions around that. The reason people don't disclose, sometimes it's because they don't know, they're not aware themselves, and sometimes it's because they've been so discriminated against and they've experienced discrimination that why would they tell? Why would you tell somebody you've got a disability if you believe that's going to give somebody the opportunity to discriminate against you? So we can't expect people to tell unless we create an environment where it's safe for them to do so. And they believe that there's benefits to them, it's in their interests to disclose what can be really personal information and sometimes have a lot of an emotional attachments to it as well. But when we do that, it's not just about disclosing a diagnosis, and not everyone will have a diagnosis, but about disclosing, well, actually, I work better when. So I work better when I've got a really quiet environment. I work better when I can get up and move around. I work better with instructions that are given to me in an email rather than verbally. And when we understand how people work better, as managers, we can then support them better by providing what they need to do their best work. Because ultimately, when we're paying people to do a job, that's what we want them to be doing, their best work. So the tools and things that we can put in place to support that are fantastic. And any support we can give to that, well, why wouldn't we? It seems a bit like a no-brainer to me to put that support in place. And of course, nowadays, that support is often helped by technology. So let's say, for example, somebody feels that they like discussing something through but want it followed up in writing afterwards. Video call technology often can provide transcripts of the calls. You can record the calls so you can go back, listen to it later. And I know for myself, it doesn't matter how many times I tell myself, I will remember that thing. If I don't write it down, I won't remember it. So having that call recorded can be really beneficial to being able to go back, recap on what was said, or have the transcript there that I can just go back through and review. And the technology can often do these things for us. And if we can use that technology, if we can benefit from it, again, why not? We really should be doing that. And that then brings me on to communication style and how, as managers, we deliver and share information. We can often do it in the way that we would benefit most from receiving it, or in the way that we like delivering it. So for me, verbally, I'm much more comfortable talking than I am writing things, and that tends to be how I want to deliver information. But of course, to some of my team members, that might not be how they receive their information best. They may prefer things to be in writing. They may find that an email follow-up with some notes of, or this is what we discussed, or these are the outcomes, or these are the action points, is really beneficial to them. And as a manager, it's my job to make sure that I'm putting those things in place, that I'm supporting my team with the styles that they need. And sometimes that's, let's say, verbal, sometimes it's written, sometimes it may be a demonstration. So it may be that actually if you just tell me the instructions, I'm not going to process that, but if I can see how it's done, that will be much better. Sometimes we need the small detail step by step. Sometimes we need the bigger picture. Well, what are we trying to achieve here? Where are we going with this? Oh, right, now I know that. Okay, now where do I start with step 1, step 2? How do I get there? Understanding how people work best, what people will receive best, is always going to make them work best. So as managers, it is our responsibility to get that communication right in the way that people need it. But let's not forget that we're human too as managers. So sometimes we're going to need the support to be able to provide the things in the way that other people need them. And don't be ashamed of that. Don't be afraid to ask for that. Don't be afraid to look for technology that can support you to do the things that your team members need and put those things in place. And then just as I finish off, some really specific tips for you. Firstly, meetings. Don't say to somebody, can we have a quick chat, without giving them any kind of background. It could be really scary for somebody to hear that. For many people, especially neurodivergent people, they will immediately go to negative thinking about what might be coming up. So could we just have a quick chat about the project we've got coming up? Just want to get us started, working out where we go from here on it. Something like that just gives a bit of a guidance to what we're doing. Even better if we can give a really specific agenda to what we're going to be talking about so that people know exactly what to expect. And again, this isn't just about the benefits to neurodivergent people. This is the benefits to everybody. If we've got clear agendas, if we know what, well, going into this meeting, this is what we expect and what we need to get out of it, then we're in a much better position to be able to get the right things out of it, to make sure that meeting stays on track, stays focused, and doesn't end up with wasted time and no real outcomes. Another one that's really important is celebrating strengths. Now, for some reason, some people find this really difficult to do, or don't think that it's the right thing, that if we celebrate strengths, it'll stop people trying. Actually, the evidence is that that's just not true. By giving people confidence, celebrating their strengths, celebrating what they've achieved, they're much more likely to be motivated and confident to move forward. It's really important when we're giving feedback that we're putting the strengths, we're looking at what they have achieved at their strengths in that feedback, as well as any constructive feedback that we also need to be giving. And my final tip, and this is really important, particularly for your neurodivergent employees, is that many neurotypical advice, tools and strategies will not work for your neurodivergent colleagues. So if somebody is struggling with time management, just get up earlier. just is never a particularly helpful word. It doesn't really give us a tool to be able to do that. Things like inbox management, or just clear your inbox. Just don't leave things sitting there. Just touch them once and then move them out of your inbox. This advice can be really beneficial and really useful, but it can also be really unhelpful for the people it doesn't work for. So making sure that people have got specific advice. And if the tools, the techniques, the strategies don't work for somebody, try something different. Try a different strategy, try different advice, try different ways of working, rather than trying to squeeze somebody into a strategy that just isn't going to work for them. Because the whole point is that these strategies, like clearing our inboxes, are there to help us work better. And if they don't help us work better, then just because everyone else is doing it makes it absolutely worthless. I hope you found those hints and tips useful. As I said at the beginning of this video, I've got a guide on managing performance, which also touches on how we support our neurodivergent team members and all of these tools and techniques for getting the best out of your people. But if you'd like me to come in and talk to your management team or you about neurodiversity, how you support your neurodivergent colleagues in the workplace, then get in touch. All the details are in the description below and I can come in and talk to you.